The World Without Visas, Around the World with Valery Shanin. Travel across Turkey became the next stage of the World Without Visas project, within which Valery Shanin travels only around the countries, visa-free for Russians. On the travel across Turkey and northern Cyprus, his fellow travelers were Mainur Klemantieva from the island of Sakhalin, Mikhail Ivanov from Alma-Ata, and Marina Osipova from Kaluga. Turkey, tea and culinary delights. Fourth series. They are building a new highway along the Mediterranean coast. The construction has not been completed yet, and the road is not officially open. The travelers got here accidentally, in the car of one of the construction engineers. Mamure Fortress was founded in the Roman times. It was actively used in the Byzantine period and during the Crusades. Seljuk Turks seized the castle in 1221. They called it Mamure, which means prosperous. After the citadel lost its military importance, a caravanserai was created on its territory. Recently, the ruins were restored and opened for visitors. The most southern point of the Turkish Mediterranean coast was inhabited a long time ago. The city of Anamurum was founded by the Phoenicians. They were replaced by the Hittites. After them came Assyrians and Persians. Alexander the Great and the Romans checked in here. The city experienced the peak of its development in the 3rd century BC. The majority of the remaining, nowadays dilapidated buildings goes back to this period. Anamurum was destroyed by Arabs in the 7th century. Since then, it lies in ruins. At night, we had a strong thunderstorm. It is cloudy in the morning. The rainy season begins in Turkey in late October. Alania was founded in the 2nd century BC by the Greek colonists. In Roman times, the city became a haven for smugglers and pirates. They kept at bay all the eastern Mediterranean territories and actively traded slaves. The Romans undertook the punitive expedition, and Mark Antony gave the city, cleared of pirates, to the Egyptian Queen Cleopatra. The Seljuk Fortress has preserved on top of the cliff surrounded by the long wall. In one corner of the citadel, on the edge of a cliff at an altitude of 250 meters above the sea level, stands the castle of Hemedek. Directly below the castle, the beach of Cleopatra. The wall running along the seashore is reinforced with defensive towers. The largest and the most notable of them was built entirely of red brick. It is well known as the Red Tower, or the Turkish Kizil Aulus. Tersan shipyard was built by the Seljuk Turks in 1228, 7 years after the successful conquest of Alania. It was the first Turkish shipyard in the Mediterranean. There was an amphitheater, temples, and administrative buildings, the street with columns in the ancient site, and this all is built on sand, on the huge sandy beach. Side, a resort town, and in the evening life gets busy. Tourists stroll through the streets and the beachside, sit in cafes and restaurants, consider souvenirs in shop windows. All more or less noticeable ruins are illuminated by the spotlights at night. The temple of Apollo was built entirely of marble. Only 5 columns remained of it, but they create a strong aesthetic impression that they even became one of the symbols of the Mediterranean coast of Turkey. Don't film, give me your hand. We were walking along the road to the ruins of Aspendas, as, on the left of the road, the orange grove appeared. We looked, they are good to eat, so we picked 3 kilograms. Now we are cleaning them in the river and eating. In ancient times, this river was called Eurymedon. Now its Turkish name is Köprüsay. The first bridge in these places was built by the Romans. Seljuk arched bridge of the 8th century, which is here now, was placed on the remaining Roman foundation. Near the Turkish village of Serik lie the ruins of the ancient Aspendas. According to the legend, the city was founded immediately after the end of the Trojan War. Later it was part of Lycia, of the Persian Empire and of the Athenian Sea Union. During the Roman period, Aspendas was one of the 3 largest cities of Pamphylia. However, in Byzantine times, it gradually fell into disrepair. In the 7th century, it was attacked several times by Arabs, and in the beginning of the 8th century, the city was captured by Seljuk Turks. Aspendas Amphitheatre, the best preserved ancient Roman theatre, it was built in 155 by the Greek architect Zenon and is designed for 7,000 spectators. The stage and the audience seats are still used for their intended purpose. They present operas here and conduct theatre festivals. Gözleme, a traditional dish of Turkish cuisine. It's something between a pancake and a thin pita. The filling can be literally anything. Most often used are spinach, cheese, meat, seafood, eggs, potatoes, mushrooms, or all at once. It is best to eat gözleme hot, therefore they prepare them immediately before the table. Silion was founded by the veterans of the Trojan War. People lived here in the Roman, Byzantine and Seljuk periods of history. In 1969, there was a bad earthquake. The mountain split, part of it fell down, burying forever an amphitheater and an odeon, temples and houses. Once again, on the way. Whichever way this time, beggars can't be choosers. Can I sit on the box? Don't forget me. So it is more real. It is complete reality. Hidden camera films a documentary film. We don't speak Romanian, we speak Russian. Do we look like Romanians? We transited via Antalya and reached Cerala's beach already in the dark. The Olympus was called in honor of the mountain with the same name. It was founded at its footsteps in the 3rd century BC. The ruins of the ancient city, basilica walls, a theater, tombs and sarcophagi hide in the thickets of dense vegetation. The feeling is like we are not in Turkey, but somewhere in the jungle of Indochina. In the period of the Roman Empire, Olymp became the base of the Cilician pirates. They strongly annoyed Romans, attacking the vessels that transported grain from Egypt. Romans carried out retaliatory expeditions several times. However, they didn't manage to beat the pirates out once and for all from here. While Turks dealt with them easily and simply, the whole bunch of pirates was included in the structure of the Turkish military fleet. So the former robbers suddenly became the naval officers. The Akdere River, where once there were piracy vessels on and sea battles happening, has shoaled to such an extent that it is navigable maybe only for ducks. We are going to Patara. Here is the passing Dolmuş. We got in. There are no seats. We have been told to take a seat on children's stools in the aisle. He says that in 15 minutes the seats will become vacant. Maybe we'll get to take the chairs. And for now, 120-kilometer camping style. Will we be going for this distance? 120, yes. Here we go as dukes on chairs. Can the chair be shown? The chair, Marina.
Показать нельзя. Кресло. Да. Марину. Кресло можно показать, да, покажи. Кресло и Марину. О, вот кресло. Вот так. Марина.
We've been flooded. The sleeping bags got wet. We are lying and the legs are in water. Romanticism. We are cooking breakfast, only tea. No, we've got sugar too. The Patara beach is included in the top 10 beaches of Turkey, but in the cloudy weather, moreover, after a night of thunderstorms, it does not look presentable. The antique city of Patara was one of the largest seaports of Lycia. Ancient Phoenicians founded it. The oracle of the local temple of Apollo was no less influential than the famous Delphic oracle. The Roman Emperor Adrian lived in Patara, and Paul the Apostle stopped here on his way to Rome. The future bishop of Myra, Saint Nicholas, the prototype of Christmas Santa Claus, was born in Patara in the 4th century. We woke up at night because our tent was shaking. It was shaking and moving a lot. It's bucketing down. We are soaking wet. Storm hit 30 meters from us, like some sort of sign for us. Later, despite all this, we dried up and went swimming. We are caught in the rain again.
И потом пошли, несмотря на все это, чуть-чуть подсохли, погода чуть лучше, пошли купаться. Сейчас мы опять под дождик попали по руинам. Ходили.
Как руины называются?
We checked the ruins. What is the name of the ruins? I wish I could remember. Patara.
Patara.
The largest city of ancient Lycia, Xanthos, was founded at the beginning of the 1st millennium BC. In the year 42 BC, Xanthos has been destroyed by the troops of Brut, that exact best friend of Julius Caesar. Later, it became one of the cities of the Roman province of Lycia. The Xanthos obelisk was established in 480 BC in honor of the great fighter, who took many victories in fights and forever glorified his family and his hometown. The ruins of the Byzantine basilica have remained, and the ancient Lycian necropolis. It is autumn in Turkey, winter is coming soon, and the turtles don't seem to think about falling into hibernation yet. On the contrary, they are more than active. Autumn is the season for harvesting. At the beginning of November, in Turkey, pomegranates begin to ripen. So nice, such sincere people. They shared pomegranates with us. The ruins of the antique Lycian city of Pinara, with its name in translation from Lycian language meaning round, lie at the foot of the mountain Kragus or Babadag in Turkish language. The ruins of the amphitheater, baths, temples, Lycian tombs have remained, and the beautiful view of mountains. There are not many tourists even during the season here, and in the fall there aren't any. The security guard feels bored alone. He accepts the travelers as his personal guests. It's okay with me. The campaign continues, first by foot, then on any passing car. It looks green still. I think it's not even sweet. Here is our breakfast. It is not very traditional, but this is what we've got. The next settlement, Olyu-Deniz. It is a long way there. Fortunately, we don't have to walk, and magically, directly after breakfast, we have got in time for a lunch. Olyu-Deniz is the resort suburb of Fethiye, the fine pebble beach, the quiet cozy bay, where it's only calm waters and the rocky slope grown over with pine trees. In the 17th century, Greeks founded the Levisi village on the ruins of antique Karmilas. In 1923, their descendants were relocated to Greece by force. Muslims from Macedonia arrived on their places. The village was renamed in the Turkish manner as Kayakoy, but immigrants did not like it here. They left to different places in search of more convenient places for living. The abandoned houses and churches are gradually decaying and already begin to strongly resemble the ruins of an antique city. Several houses in the suburb of the village are inhabited. There are both hostels and restaurants for tourists. There are only no tourists. It's not the season. Gyozleme, a traditional dish of Turkish cuisine. It's something average between a pancake and a fine pita bread. We are doing everything exactly according to the technology. First, we need to roll a thin layer of dough, then add stuffing. Then fold the dough as an envelope and put on the heated frying pan of an original convex form. Fantastic meal. I recommend. Gyozleme. At the beginning of November, persimmon starts to get ripe. The Dacia Peninsula separates the Mediterranean Sea from the Aegean Sea. Even though nearby there is such a popular resort as Marmaris, places here are wild and deserted. There is a road, but it is faster along the seashore and more interesting. The ancient Greek city of Knid, or Knidos in Greek, is 110 kilometers from Marmaris, on the tip of Dacia Peninsula. On the left, there is the Mediterranean Sea, and on the right, already, the Aegean Sea. The descendants of Spartans lived here. The island lying exactly opposite of Cape was connected with the land by the dams. As a result, they got two convenient harbors, one for military, another for merchant ships. During attacks from the sea, vessels could be easily transferred from one harbor into another. In 394 BC, here, during the Corinthian War, there was a serious sea battle. The Persian fleet destroyed the Spartans. Vessels that magically escaped their death disappeared in the Knid harbor. Knid was not much a naval base as much as a scientific and cultural center. The astronomer F. Dox lived here. He put together the first map of the star sky and offered his original theory of planetary movement. The architect Sostrat Knitsky constructed the lighthouse of Alexandria, one of 7 antique wonders of the world. The sculptor Praxitel designed the Aphrodite Knitskaya. It is Aegean Sea on this side. The Mediterranean Sea is on the other side. We already swam in the Mediterranean Sea. Now we will swim in the Aegean Sea. It is known that the Aegean Sea is cleaner but colder, and the Mediterranean is dirtier but warmer. The fact that the sea is cleaner is visible with the naked eye. Whether it is colder, I'll have to try with my hands, legs, and my whole body. The water is cold. The water is really colder. It is November 4th. Near Knidos on the Aegean Sea. Water is already colder. It was 26 and here it is 25. It's like a breath of winter. Even in the fall, tourists are brought to Knid from Marmaris. Here, there are not only the ruins for them, but also the restaurant. The tail was fried a bit too much. We've come to the road. Instantly, there is a lot of transport passing. First, there is an oncoming traffic, and then the passing one in our direction. Men solve their business matters over a cup of tea, discuss politics, play cards or chess. Women don't come into tea shops, although nobody forbids them. We read the Turkish newspapers. We have already learned the language. We are looking through the news. Elections are undergoing. The walls outside look impressive, but there is almost nothing inside. However, it is visible that people lived here up to the most recent time. The mosque ruins, madrasa, bathhouse and palaces have preserved near the castle. The name of the city of Kuşadası in translation from Turkish means the bird's island, and it is really an island. There is an old fortress on it. The island is connected to the coast by a dam and it is easy to get to it, but the entrance to the fortress is closed at night. The Turkish city of Seljuk used to be called Ayasoluk until 1914. This name comes from the Greek fortress of Agios Theologos in honor of John the Evangelist. By the legend, Saint Apostle John is the author of one of the Gospels. After the Christ crucifixion, he did not stay in Judea and left to Ephesus. Here he lived up to 100 years old and was buried on the hill of Ayasoluk. In the 6th century AD, by order of the Emperor Justinian, the majestic basilica was constructed on the saint's grave. Judging by the remaining fragments, it is clear that it was a huge building. Only 100 meters away from St. John's Basilica, the Mosque of Isabea is visible, built in 1375. Stones used for its construction were taken from the ruins of the antique Ephesus. The admission is free. Ephesus is the most popular tourist site of Turkey. The amphitheater was designed for 25,000 spectators. Here, Paul the Apostle gave his speeches. Gladiatorial fights were happening, and unarmed Christians were torn in pieces by wild animals. All main buildings are located along one central street. It takes its beginning from the southern entrance to the ruins, makes abrupt turn at the amphitheater, goes to the library building, and further to the northern. The Library of Celsius and the located directly opposite, the most popular buildings of Ephesus among tourists. They stand on the opposite sides of the main street and remain connected with each other by an underground passage. Many people believe that aristocrats who did not want to show their interest in prostitutes used this underground crossing. It is also possible that everything was exactly the opposite, and the tunnel was used by the priestesses of love who were officially not permitted to visit the library. Terrace houses, or better to say, villas, where the richest residents of Ephesus lived, were coincidentally opposite the brothel too. No underground passages were found between them, but archaeologists continue the work. The Odeon was originally constructed for singing and musical contests, but it also hosted large public meetings and assemblies of the city council. The train carries the travelers from Seljuk to Izmir. Izmir is among the most ancient cities of Turkey. It doesn't lie in ruins as many of its coevals. It lives and develops. On the Pagas mountain, there are preserved ruins of the ancient fortress of Kadifkale. However, it is not a museum site, but one of old urban areas. People still live here, leading their traditional lifestyle. As in any southern city, only in the evenings when it becomes a little more cool, locals and tourists come out in parks and in streets to take a slow stroll and to meet with neighbors. Izmir's most popular places for walks, the Park of Culture and the embankment in the district of Konak. One more day comes to an end. The 2-month travel across Turkey comes to an end. During this time, we managed to see only the most insignificant part of this really amazing and diverse country. Ahead are the new travels. The World Without Visas project continues.